Why is trust so important in our conversations and communication with people? What's it all about?
Well, I mean, as you said, trust is the foundation of successful societies. I mean, in order to engage in any form of interaction, conversation, transactions, any form of exchange relationships, we need the trust. It's the foundation for any exchange relationship to take place. Even successful societies rely on trust. If you cannot trust strangers to engage in interactions, you can only engage in immediate family, your close friends.
Conversations at the moment of contact are where we start to have a feeling about a person, whether we can trust them or not trust them. And from that, we decide how much we want to share in any field, whether it's in commerce or just on a one-on-one relationship. So I would be curious, Angelika, if you could help us understand what actually is going on inside of us when we're either in trust or distrust.
Yes, like one of the quite important questions that I've been asked and has been discussed not only in my own research portfolio and researched in my own research portfolio, but also in many different disciplines, is how exactly people perceive trust and distrust. And especially, what are the differences between trust and distrust? And if there are two entities there that they are completely separated, or they can even coexist at the same time, or if they are the two ends of the same continuum. So, as I said, in academia and in research, this is a phenomenon that has been studied a lot, and I decided with my team to look into that from the neuroscience perspective. So they're not even in the same place? Most people think trust and distrust is like having it or not having it. No, actually, that is not the case. We can actually, trust and distrust can coexist. At the same time, we can be experiencing trust and distrust. And we are finding from our brain studies that there are different networks, different brain areas that are being activated when we feel trust, and completely different brain areas that are activated when we feel distrust.
So where is it? Where is it happening?
Well, for trust, first of all, like the networks that are activated with trust have been associated more with areas of reward, or what we call in the brain the reward system, or utility. So we feel rewarded when we feel trust. Also has been associated with cooperation or collaboration with others, interpersonal relationships. Areas that has been activated for social interactions are also being activated for higher levels of trust. So immediately when you feel trust towards someone, these brain areas that have been activated for social interaction will be activated as well when you feel trust. So trust drives you to interact with somebody else.
So like it's a reward for interacting.
Exactly, exactly. It feels, and that's what we see, like a simple reward, like you will get a new gift, for example, or you will get money. The same brain area that is activated in these two situations is activated also when you feel trust.
Wow.
Also trust we observe, especially, as I said, like we observe how high the brain activity is in low situations of trust. We see another brain area being activated that has been associated with uncertainty. So lower trust means higher uncertainty, and the higher the trust we feel towards somebody, the lower the uncertainty.
Trust takes place in a positive social part of our brain. Distrust takes place in another part of our brain. Paul, where is that?
Well, actually, that's actually based on Angelika's work that actually has helped us move forward the whole study of trust and distrust. And as Angelika mentioned in her work, distrust actually resides in a more primitive part of the brain that was actually in the earlier stages of our formation as human beings. And that's actually more associated with fear, strong negative emotions. And actually that corresponds very well to what we know from the literature on distrust, that people feel distrust because they're afraid that something bad will happen to them. Fear of loss, that somebody, the other person, let's call it the trustee, the person they're supposed to trust or distrust, will actually harm them. And harm, fear are these primitive emotions that have kept us alive over the generations. And the basic idea, we try to avoid any such situations.
So I might go into a place of protecting myself. Is that correct? When I think that I can't trust you, and I will start to withhold information. I won't be open about the most important things. Is that part of what's going on in
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we actually see. I mean, when when we get the suspicion of distrust, when distrust exists, and people either openly or discreetly they say that they experience distrust towards other, I mean, they withdraw from the situation. They avoid any source of interaction, information sharing, conversation, and especially when you have to work, like in organizational settings, you distrust someone, but because of the situation, you need to work with them. Then it's a very dysfunctional interaction. There is conflict. People are always afraid. It's like having to watch your back all the time. So it's a very unhealthy situation when distrust occurs, and because it's such a strong feeling. And of course, distrust, I mean, has some origins. There is some basic reason for people to distrust. So it doesn't happen, just like that. Yeah. But it does have very strong effects.
And you can see it in companies where all of a sudden we talk about toxic environments or people living in silos. Yes. So people start to avoid each other and then clan with people that they feel that reward to. Exactly. Is that right? So we see both things happening in companies, and with that framework we can now start to understand and interpret a lot more about the social behavior at work. It gives us much more clue to it. Well, which one is more important to influence our behavior? Is it trust or distrust?
From the neuroscientific perspective, as I said, both of them can coexist in one relationship. Distrust is the one that has most effect. And the reason that I'm saying that is because the distrust areas that are being, actually the areas of the brain that are activated for distrust are the most primitive parts of the brain, and they're the ones that are have been associated with fight or flight emotions, like either you're going to live or you're going to fight for yourself. So these are areas that are being activated usually much faster than the other more cognitive brain areas, and these are the ones that actually influence our behavior. So in situations when we are experiencing both trust and distrust, the distrust in a sense is going to be the one that wins the competition. That's why it's important to be able to minimize or eliminate as much as we can the distrust feeling and cultivate the trust feelings that we have.